Good morning, everybody. Ready? Today, I'm going to be going through five misconceptions that young Earth creationists have about biological evolution. No, I will not be discussing politics, identity politics, or morality in this video because I do not want to get banned or slandered. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Caden Slinker. I am a young adult, old Christian who is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I would be what you people would call a Mormon. Please be nice to me. I do not take lightly to criticism and such. And now, without further ado, let's talk about the first misconception. So, one of the misconceptions that many creationists have about evolution is that there are no transitional fossils. And the thing is that there are, but they don't consider them transitional fossils. Because, you see, when creationists ask for transitional fossils, they're looking for what they would describe as sort of like a hybrid. Or like a chimera of sorts. Like different animal parts stitched together, sort of. What a transitional fossil actually is essentially any organism that contains a mixture of both basal and derived traits. So, something like Tiktaalik would be considered a transitional fossil because it contains basal traits such as gill arches and fins, but it would also has derived traits such as proper elbows and such. When creationists are asking for transitional fossils, they don't want to see that kind of stuff though. They want to see something like a crocoduck, which is ridiculous because that's not what transitional fossils are. So, the next misconception is that we don't see evolution. We see adaptation but no evolution. And that all things just suddenly show up fully formed with nothing beforehand. This can be explained in two parts. The first part, that we don't see evolution, is simply not true. We can observe evolution occurring. What they want is to see something become a different quote-unquote kind, which they can't even define. But essentially, evolution is any change in allele frequency. It's a change in allele frequency. Huh? I'm talking to myself. Essentially, for something to be evolutionary fit, it has to be able to pass on its genetics to the next generation. As for we only see organisms fully formed, that is primarily due to the fact that the fossil record is incomplete. There are so many geological processes that can destroy fossils or prevent fossilization from occurring. So that's where genetics comes in. The third misconception is excuse me there. The third major misconception is that we do not see any new kinds emerge, and that if any, but this is essentially but it's still a fruit fly argument. Evolution actually predicts this, that you cannot evolve outside of your clade, and a clade is any grouping of organisms that includes the most recent common ancestor and all of their descendants. And when it comes to another, so because evolution says you cannot evolve outside your clade, even if you end up looking almost completely different from what your ancestors are, you are still your ancestors in a way. You cannot become something that your ancestors are not. Not to mention, you can have clades nested within other clades. This is what we call a nested hierarchy. And eventually you follow the nested hierarchy down until you get to the last universal common ancestor of all living things. The fourth major misconception is essentially the argument if apes evolved from monkeys and humans evolved from apes, then why are there still monkeys? Because they're thinking they say that because they are assuming that if something evolves from something else, the thing that evolved from necessarily has to go extinct. This is not the case. You can have more basal organisms existing alongside more derived organisms. Evolution is not a strictly linear process. It is more of like a branching system. So, if I had a bird of sorts, and one population ended up developing a large sharp beak for cutting through flesh, and another population developed short, thick beaks for crushing nuts, and you still had that ancestral population left, that evolution would actually predict that, because you can have basal organisms living alongside their more derived descendants. And here is the final misconception. This is the one that Kent Hovind is most egregious of. That evolution is a religion. Look. Evolution is a scientific theory designed to explain observable reality. That is what scientific theories are. They are put together to describe observed reality. We observe organisms evolving. And the theory of evolution, as it is today, is set up to describe that. It is not a religion. You do not need to give up a belief in God to believe in evolution. I believe in God, and yet I also believe in evolution. Those two things are not at all, do not need to be at odds with each other. I'm sorry if I oversimplify things. This is meant to be for general audiences, so people who are not adverse to evolution can understand it better. I hope you guys are doing alright, and I wish you the best of days. Bye.